Hello everyone, my name is Nikita and I'm the project leader for Escape from Tarkov from Battlestate Games. We are now recording the first issue of our developer diary here in St. Petersburg. With it, we would like to start a whole series of such videos, telling you more about Escape from Tarkov, various interesting features and how the development is going, and introducing you to the developers who work on it. Our work started as far back as 2012, when all info was kept secret. Nobody knew we were developing another project, and that project was Escape from Tarkov. It is set in the universe of Russia 2028, and all of our ideas that we've used so far or going to use, including a well-known online shooter Contract Wars, they all belong to the same universe of Russia 2012. By the way, it was Contract Wars that gave us everything we needed: experience, people, resources and various other bonuses. Reaping benefits from a project like this, we decided to make something serious, something distinctive, something that will become the dawn of a new age for the genre, something to be proud of. My name is Alexei, I'm a reserve officer and co-author of Russia 2028 Universe, as well as writer, game designer and military advisor. The key feature of Escape from Tarkov is maximum possible realism. To achieve this realism in everything related to military actions in the game, we use real weapons and combat experience. With weapons, we ride to various outdoor and indoor polygons and record videos and sounds. My experience, including the one in combat, allows us, thanks to motion capture technologies, achieve the ultimately realistic animations, both in weapon handling like shooting, reloading, removing jamming and stovepipes, and character movement. The key principle of our work is modeling reality. On one hand, the task seems simple. We have life and we have to implement it in-game. On the other hand, we have to maintain the maximum degree of authenticity and detail. This is why we decided to make this developer diary, to show you, our players, how the Escape from Tarkov development is going, and share with you the excitement and challenge of working on it. In the first issue we have decided to focus the story on animations and animation system. It is probably the most important part of visual appeal. All players pay attention to it. No animation, no fun. Now I'm happy to introduce you to our galaxy-wide celebrity, Alexander Kovalchuk, best known as Kiba. He is our lead animator and he knows everything about animation, and now he'll share some of his knowledge with you. I've made it into the team 3 years ago, literally just walked in from the street without any game development experience whatsoever, and filled the position of apprentice 3D modeler. Half a year and several roughly modeled weapons later, guys on the team suggested me to try animating the weapons. Of course, if you look at the first gun I tampered with, it's gonna make me cry. However, 100 guns later, both of my own and fixed after my predecessors, there are some things to be proud of. I've come up with plenty of ideas and features I'd like to introduce, and Escape from Tarkov is the perfect playground for this. It's a real paradise for any weapon enthusiast. Me and my colleagues are facing a real chance of setting a new bar for weapon implementation in games. Our goal is maximum realism in weapon handling. Naturally, we've got to have some props close at hand of all possible kinds, from toy guns to real military training hardware. And since it's meant for training, we are free to wear it out with no load work to our heart's content right in the office. We have to understand how to bring the mag to the base, how to release the slide stop quickly, and how much force to apply to do it. You have to know your tools in and out to understand what it can do and what is just plain impossible. The traditional approach to animations in shooters was unacceptable. We had to build a whole system which would cover all possible aspects of weapon handling. Talking about other shooters generally, every weapon has 4 or 5 animations: pull it out, shoot, reload, full or not, and if we're lucky, an idle animation. In our case, however, the very same weapon will need 10 times more animations, with all of them divided into segments and adjusted appropriately for smooth transition of one into another in numerous possible combinations. Moreover, all of them should run smoothly, sharply and most importantly, not arbitrarily. Eventually, the system grew up to be what we have now. Briefly, just briefly, it's drawing weapon, zeroing, shooting, ejecting magazine, inserting magazine, fast drop of the magazine, ejecting the old mag with the new one in hand, releasing sight stop, if there is one, if there isn't and there is no cartridge in the chamber, cocking the receiver, removing misfired cartridge, removing jamming or stovepipe, switching fire mode controller, weapon idling, and a dozen more animations that are either absent in other games or made rather primitively. Let's move on to the development scene. What do we see first? Characters' legs, of course. Hooray! Seems like everybody wanted to see characters' legs. In our hands we have AK-74N without receiver cover. Well, since we're normal people, we'll put it back. Please note, all operations are animated. Thereon we notice the absence of a magazine. If you're an inexperienced AK-74 owner, you will do the following loading operations. Basics and classics. Let's now eject the magazine and try it again. Notice the cartridge remaining in chamber. Now let's imagine you're slightly more experienced owner. Whole other story, like a true Spetsnaz. Switching to full auto. We can also check if there is ammo remaining in the mag, which by the way was taken from RPK-74. Now let's try to completely unload some weapon, for instance a Makarov pistol. Legendary, reliable, failsafe. Here we see there is a magazine and a round in the chamber. Eject the magazine and the round, up, right in the hand. Now drawing AK-74 again. Now let's try to imagine the situation where a failsafe Kalashnikov starts to misfire and jam the cases. Let's start with misfire. Please note the whole cartridge is extracted. Now let's try an instance of jamming of extracted case. We can do this all day. Quick drop happens like this. That was a regular reload, and now a quick drop. Every magazine on the low player levels will be just dropped. If you have leveled up a bit, the loading will go like this. First we take our new magazine and insert it while holding the old one. Loading M4. Quick magazine drop on M4 is classic. Let's try the case jamming scenario. Well, I think that's enough info for starters. As for the character animation, just imagine that everything I've just told you about will be reflected in third-person character animations. Hello, my name is Evgeny, and I will be demonstrating the third-person character animations. Our character repeats all first-person animations that we have in third-person as well. The main challenge of character animation was to avoid feet sliding and make the changes of pace smooth. Let's hold Ctrl and scroll. The speed grows from minimum to maximum, from walking to running. Same thing happens to movement in all directions, right or left. We also have the ability to change the character's stance height even at the maximum speed. Minimum height, maximum height. To do this, we hold C and scroll. With all this, we do our best to avoid character sliding, overstepping or animation delays.
Ноги его двигались всегда равномерно, и не было никаких переступов, никаких задержек с анимациями. Также у нас
Also, we have a visual reflection of character aiming.
Прицеливание персонажа. Это все сделано для того, чтобы
We made this so player aiming at somebody from the side could easily understand where the opponent is looking and whether he can see the player or not.
Видит ли он его или же нет.
While working on the complex of various animations tasks, we decided that we need maximum control over it. We can't just make 800,000 animations for each of the possibly imaginable character actions. We need to make the character controllable. Hence, we decided we should, so to say, procedurize all animations to maximum possible extent, make them as manageable by code as possible, so we could describe and show all situations that can happen to a player and immediately see the animated reaction to these influences. This enormous task have got many people working on it. And now I'd like to introduce Dima, one of the key specialists on this task. He will tell you in more detail what had to be done and what is the point of all this. One of the things we strive to get right in Escape from Tarkov is a visual representation of a character's physical condition. I'm talking about health, wounds and traumas, fatigue as well as weight and destructive power of the weapon. All this should provide immediate visual feedback, not only influencing the player's overall look, but affecting animation as well. You can only get as much done with traditional keyframe animation, and that's where I step in. Even on the early stages of Escape from Tarkov development, the need to animate all character interactions with environment already appeared. I'll show the complete adjustment process on the example of this typhoon. We add one simple component which is adjusted in 3 stages. Positions of open and closed door, which I am setting now. Open rotation, closed rotation. Then we have to add the direction of character's look and a position for his hand. Let's move starting position for interaction a little bit, set the direction of player's glance, and now we can check how it works in the game. Alright, let's check the newly adjusted typhoon. As you can see, it works. Door is open, we're inside. The same process is used for the rest of the transport. As you can see, markers denote the hand position, and the door opens. Beside doors, we can also open the hood, which is already open here, and the trunk. Not sure about the glove boxes yet, if we should go into such detail, but everything is possible. Without procedural animation, the weapon behavior in characters' hands would look like this. Lifeless, no dynamics or feeling of weight. Let's try to mend this by adding at least character breathing. Looking livelier already. Let's finish the scene by adding weight. Now we have some movement inertia, it looks way more realistic. Also, Escape from Tarkov takes into account the weapon dimensions, which have quite a bit of influence on gameplay. As we can see, Kalashnikov doesn't fit here and is taken to the breast. But at the same time we have no problem with Makarov due to its small size. These were just a few examples of use that procedural animation has in our project. Well, our first issue is coming to its end. We hope you liked it and found something new and interesting in it. We are going to make the diary issues regular and dive into more development detail. Please subscribe to Battlestate channel and visit escapefromtarkov.com. You can find a lot of interesting materials there, as well as the forum where you can discuss everything you have seen so far. Thank you for your time. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone, my name is Nikita and we are now in the Battlestate game studio. 2 weeks have passed and we are ready to present our new developer diary. It's dedicated to modeling, texturing and all other sorts of artwork. And all of that will be covered by Alexander, our lead specialist in this majestic part of the game development industry. My name is Alexander, I'm the lead 3D artist at Battlestate Games. Today I'd like to tell you about our department, how do we work, what kind of tasks we face, and how do we solve them. Graphics has a major impact on the game, which can hardly be underestimated. It's a complex task and every element is really important. First, we search for references and prepare photo materials. Visit various objects personally and make photos of them. If necessary, we also add plans, technical documentation and blueprints. Then our artists combine all of the objects into a single design. My name is Vlad, I am one of the concept artists at Battlestate Games. My duties include pre-production of Escape from Tarkov project, location design, character design, and many other graphics-related tasks. Though keeping true to our passion for realism and live references, we strive to create the most appropriate visual image to present the commonplace things as interesting, meaningful, and completely justified both by gameplay and storyline of the game. Now we can start building a location. Let's focus on a small part of the location that you have already seen, and take a close look at how the separate environment props are created. My name is Alexei, and among other things, I work with environments. My tasks also include creating architectural structures. You are now looking at the draft model of a building created in 3D editor. The layout for this model is already approved, with all of its rooms and communications. On the next stage of our work, we break the building into modules. Exterior walls, rooms, corridors and stairwells. It's made for easy in-depth detailing of the specific parts, and convenience of engine optimization. Further setup of each module is being conducted in the game engine. Here you can see the already set up materials with all their contents. We are using materials that allow us to blend textures by vertex color. To do that, we create a dense grid to draw on it. After we complete the settings, we can fill the building with props. My name is Maxim, I'm a 3D modeler. In our work, it's really important to pay attention to details, because it's the small details that create the right impressions. I will now use the example of environment objects in the dormitory location to tell you how exactly they were created. Even such common things as a regular door get plenty of attention. As in real life, we made our door of wood planks, created a high poly model, sculpted chippings and scratches, and then created a low poly model for the engine. As you can see, the grid is fairly simplified. On the last stage, we bake the normal map and create a texture. We finalize the small details in textures, adding macro-relief, scuffs and dirt. One of the prop models for the dormitory is a typical Soviet gas stove. We've carefully worked on all of the model elements, and that allows us, for example, to open the hatch and move the baking pans around. As you can see, this stuff fits perfectly in the environment of a Soviet dorm. Let's take a look at some other assets, which may be of secondary value, but are still detailed. This is just a small share of models required to fill one small building. We also have environments that require a tremendous amount of models. My name is Maxim, I'm a 3D modeler. Open world means huge amounts of vehicles, from 90s classics to modern models. And with our dedication to realism, requirements for vehicle details are way higher than some other projects. I will show you the pipeline of vehicle development on example of VAZ 2106. First, we made a high poly model, using it to carefully flesh out every detail. and then created game model and baked it in the small details from the high poly model. We've decided to break up the model into several materials: body, interior and engine. This allows us to achieve maximum quality. This is how model looks like after the textures are finalized. Now all we need to do is to export the model and set it up in the engine. Let's take a look at the other models of environment. You can see here the in-game models with textures and setup materials. All of them have been made the same way. We've created high poly model, sculptured shears, scratches and small details. Then we've made the in-game geometry, baked small details in normal map and drawn textures. It's also vital to have a large number of universal objects to fill up wide open spaces. For instance, construction debris. For these models, we've made a tiled texture of garbage, which utilize specifically prepared objects. We scattered these objects across the surface, which allowed us to get all the maps required for texture. After that, we've drawn the texture itself. Here is the final model, infused with some additional objects to add more volume. Similar approach was used for some other textures as well. Working on environment also includes work with vegetation. Trees, bushes, grass, dry twigs, stumps. Since vegetation fills a good share of the map, we need not only make it good looking, but also optimize it for the game. We are using the SpeedTree program to create flora. It allows us to generate variant plants with correct settings in a short time. For the sake of optimization, we collect all of the foliage elements into one huge atlas. Then we create blanks and export them into SpeedTree. Now all we have to do is to set up LODs. The last LOD of the model is a plane that always faces the camera. We've managed to show you only a small part of the visual assets creation. They are really important for the game, but that's not all. We still have two big tasks: creating characters and weapons. My name is Ivan. I'm doing character models for Escape from Tarkov project. Character creation starts with studying the references and detailed concepts. Each part of the clothing and equipment is being modeled individually to make the character look as believable as possible. All of our characters have rather complex customization. Character body is being split into 3 elements: head, torso and legs, for the purpose of completely changing character appearance. Also, we have the ability to equip our character with different gear, various vests, rigs, backpacks. As the result, we have a huge number of possible variations. For example, rig only, rig with light vest, using backpack without rig and vest, or all together. On the example of one of the scav models, I will show you the steps of a character development. We've experimented with character development for a long time and worked out the following flow. We have a basic model of combatant for each side of conflict. Based on this model, we create the specific part of clothing using real patterns and templates. At the moment, it's Scav's jacket. This program allows us to correctly simulate the real-time physics of clothes behavior. It means that all wrinkles look exactly as they would look in real life. When the main model is finished, we load everything to the brush, where we work on small details. All of this makes our characters more interesting and adds more charisma to them. At the next stage, we create an in-game model based on high poly model. After that, we work with textures and get the game model as a final result. My name is Dmitry. The Escape from Tarkov project requires an impressive characters variety. And the main distinctive feature of every human is the face. This is what I'm responsible for. The face of a human reflects individuality. We add unique nature to each character by picking different photos as references, which we use to create a collective image. After that, we transfer the model to the animation department. My name is Vlad, I'm doing weapons for Escape from Tarkov. Considering my years of experience in weapons development, joining the FT team was a real bliss. The weapon customization shown in the previous video wouldn't look as convincing without the authenticity they were created with. In our case, you can see and work with the weapon design on the customization screen, removing specific parts. During the modeling of each weapon, we carefully study its details, including the subtlest ones, even the year of its manufacturing. Different types of firearms have complex customization. We create thoroughly detailed models with all possible details: bolts, springs, mechanisms. Skillful optimization of game model grid and baking of all possible complex forms allows to use created image of weapon in the game without damage to performance. A serious share of time is allocated to textures. Each weapon gets the desired look, depending on whether it was used before or it was newly bought from a trader. During the development process, we amend the omissions of minor details, not least thanks to the active community members' comments. To some of them, we are really thankful. Looking a bit ahead, I can say that game arsenal will be really large, and even the most seasoned players will be sure to find something to fit their taste. And so the second part of the Diaries comes to an end. We really hope that you enjoyed it, but even if you didn't, visit our site and forum where you can tell everyone if you like the new Diaries or not. Also, subscribe to our channel, visit our website escapefromtarkov.com. And well, bots Alpha and Beta draw closer and closer, as well as plenty of new interesting materials that will dispel your doubts if you still have them. Stay with us and stay in great mood!